Okay, so we're down here in the engine room of Miss Mimi, our Hurricane flip boat, and this is basically Simrad's new S5100, their 3-channel transducer processor module. We've got it down here in the engine room. We've got 2 of the 3 channels currently hooked up. One's the high frequency to our big 509 transducer. The other one's the low frequency to the same big 509 transducer. These wires run around the corner here underneath the camera over to the transducer. This is the Ethernet wire here that connects us up to the Simrad Ethernet, and then this is the power wire. We have a spare channel left open on this guy. We've been really impressed with him so far. We've only had him out in 80 feet of water one time so far, so we're kind of excited to get him in some deeper water. But so far the transducer definition is awesome. It tracks the ground awesome, even at 35 knots at wide open, this bad boy. We've got 1 channel left open here. We've got 1 transducer that's still on the boat that we haven't hooked up. That it's an old transducer, so it's always an option to hook up later, so we're just going to leave that open for now. So this is the structure scan 3D box. It's got 2 side scan through hole stainless steel transducers that are plugged into it right here. One's on the left side, one's on the port side, one's on the starboard side of the boat. Both are under the engine. Nice and fun to get to. Transducer cables come in here. On the top we have a power cable that we've got wired over there. We'll show you that in a minute. And then we have 1 network cable. We actually have 3 network ports on this box, the structure scan 3D box. So you could hang 2 more devices off of them down here if you want. We might hang a IP camera off of them at some point for the engine room. But right now it's just basically that 1 Ethernet feed is running over to our Simrad network switch that we'll show you here in a minute. So we're in the rear of the starboard side of the engine room now, and we have this Simrad NEP2 hooked up to the network, nicely bolted on the ceiling here, an approved location for Simrad. We have the power cable right here. We have 4 Ethernet cables on the back side of it. One is the 3D sonar box that you saw up front. One's the S5100 sonar box. The third one is the Simrad EVO3 that's on the back deck that we'll be to in a second. And the 4th one, of course, is the feed up to the bridge where the main network lives. So we're here on the back deck of Miss Mimi now. Climbed out of the engine room, which feels awesome. This is a 16-inch Simrad EVO3 NSS that we put on the back deck. It basically is just like the Simrads you see on the helms of boats. This one has all the functionality that we have on the uppers pretty much, but this is, as you can see, back on the fish deck of the boat. You can control the audio from back here. You can control the autopilot from back here. Of course, not in congested waters, maybe out offshore when you're trolling, you want to turn 5 or 10 degrees. You can do that from back here. We also have all the features of the Simrad system on this machine. So, you know, obviously the chart plotter, side scan, we got the high chirp, the low chirp, the normal, the transducers, and of course radar. And we also have this entire system mirrored on the television in the salon, which we'll show you in a minute, which honestly that looks really cool. So everybody in the salon can pretty much know where you're at, know what's going on the back deck. We can also check on the engines right here. If the engines were powered up, we'd have all the instrument information right here on this screen, which is also really cool, instead of having to climb down in the engine room to look at it if you wanted to see it from here. Okay, so this is an awesome TV that Mr. Preston purchased from, where'd you get this, Bob? Walmart. This is a Walmart TV. It is about a 40-inch Simrad unit now. Basically, the Simrad NSS 16 on the back deck that we just talked about has an HDMI output, and we ran that HDMI cable from the back of that unit down through here, up, plugged him in the back of this guy. So this mirrors whatever is on the Simrad in the back. Now, unfortunately, this isn't touchscreen. We did have somebody try to touch it the other day and want to know why it didn't work. It might be supported by Simrad, but the touchscreen monitor would be way expensive this size, so we didn't go that route. So how we control it is actually with a little OP50, the handheld controller that Mr. Preston's playing with now in the chair to show you some of the features that we can go through. So this is just a mirror of the screen out back. So anybody sitting in here, you know, once you get on the boat a couple of times and you know what the wife wants to see when you're headed to a fishing spot or headed to a weekend anchor out location, pretty much you'll just set the back Simrad to that and you'll leave it, I'm sure, so everybody in here knows exactly what they want to know, whether it's fish under the boat, where they are right now. We can throw the nav panel up here too, so it gives us our time to arrival, all that fun stuff. We also have Simrad weather antenna on here, so at some point, you know, when that gets activated, you'll also be able to pull up the real live radar weather in real time, whether you're within cell coverage or not, out offshore, out fishing, tide data. Really, these Simrads, they've got so much info in them, you could play with them for hours and still not get to all the different features. Yeah, and this is actually an add-on feature here, the POCO, that's the Lumitech lighting system. We can control that from any Simrad, our phones, the iPad, a laptop if you have it on board and it's on the network. Totally controllable pretty much from any electronic device these days. I think the only thing that doesn't control it today is Alexa, so Alexa will be 2.0 for them.
Alright guys, this is the Simrad HSD40. It is the wireless handheld remote for our Simrad VHF radios. Does everything the top controller VHF radio is, the master control. It's a repeater up there, and the cool part is it has wireless charging. So just like your iPhone, put it back up here, and it's self-charging, no batteries, no cord, and you can take it with you. Okay, so what we did right here on the helm, this big square used to be basically a 12-inch monitor, old school tube monitor. By Caterpillar, and that was the Cat Vision system. Supposedly touchscreen, but by the time we got it, the sun had basically destroyed the screen, and it was inoperable. So what we did is take that out, build ourselves a new dash here using some Lexan, and then we have two of the EVO3s Simrad controllers. And what this does is gives full integration to the engine. Gives us RPM, oil pressure, oil temperature, engine load, fuel flow, turbo boost pressure, transmission pressure, temps, and all that stuff, and so we can cycle it through there. And you can also completely customize these displays for however you like to see. So right now on the left, on the port engine, we have the RPM, oil pressure, load, and then on the right, it's still the same RPM with load, oil pressure, and engine temperature with a little bit bigger display. And so we really like these. You can also go through and pull in some nav data as well, lat long type stuff, but essentially this has now become our engine telemetry.
So we've got the new autopilot in here. We had an old autopilot AP20 from, I believe it was actually original to the boat. It was a Robertson AP20. So we got rid of that. It had some standing issues. Wanted to go ahead and get something that would be all NEMA 2000 coupled. So we've got an NAC3 computer down there in the helm, hooked to a brand new RU pump from Simrad. And this is the control head here. Of course, you can control it from either Simrad here, the IS-42s here, the IS-42 up there, the QS-80 up there, or the NSS-16 down on the fish deck. But everybody always likes to have a dedicated autopilot controller, because let's face it, when you're out there in nasty, sloppy weather, you don't want to be trying to figure out what screen's controlling what. You want to be able to say, this is my dedicated electronic steering wheel right here. So OP50, we actually commissioned it at the dock, took it out, and did the sea trial with it. We actually were doing the sea trial the first time we had it out. Hit auto, held perfectly, took it out in about 2.5, 3 foot of waves in the Gulf. Didn't have to configure it at all. It held a straight line. This is the OP50. This is the basically wired controller for the Simrad displays. It's got a little display button up here on the top. That's how you can toggle between your displays. Right now we have it linked to this one. So basically this is, Simrad took one of the things that the captains loved that Simrad had, is this little control pack here on the right side of the older units, and they basically said, hey, we want to be able to do glass bridge because that's what everybody wants, but at the end of the day, a lot of real captains still like this little controller right here, because when it's rough or when it's pouring down rain on you, you're getting blowing wind, it's hard to use the touch screen still reliably. So you've always got this guy right here as a backup, and you can manage the entire device from this, and it's, as you can see, it's pretty much seamless. We can zoom right in pretty quick. Got the window button here. We can go to whatever different screen we want. and we can control the stereo from here, the autopilot from here. There's the autopilot, and we go down to the stereo. We can control the stereo from here as well. Okay, so now if we move up here, these are the brand new EVO3s units. These are 19-inch units. We waited for about 3 months for these guys to show up in country due to COVID and just overseas shipping. They're fully touchscreen. They're very bright. These are independent units. They also make an MPU, which is a model that has the black box that sits under the dash, and then you just put 2 monitors in. These guys were going to be in country sooner, and they're brighter, so we went ahead and went with them. As you can see, the screens are awesome. The clarity's awesome on them. We've got plenty of real estate here to do actually more than what we actually have. We can go to a 6-pack on both of them if we want to. Radar chart, side scan, high chirp, low chirp, and then this would be the forward scan here. Let's see. Also have your standard Simrad nav window capability. And let's get over to the Lumitech system. We'll do more on the Lumitech, but just to show you where it is. Basically, once you plug in, there's no configuring at all that went into this. We literally had this machine on, and we plugged the Lumitech Poco box into the network, and all of a sudden this little icon popped up. It was almost scary how well it worked. And so that's the switches for the Lumitech lights. We'll get into that later.
Hey guys, again, up top of Miss Mimi Tuna Tower. So we have the Simrad QS80 or Quick Stick 80. This is simply an autopilot control for us, and so instead of putting a wheel back up here with hydraulic lines and stuff, we chose to just take a digital approach to steering, and so this gives us full control of the autopilot as well as full control of the rudder simply by moving the stick left and right. And then a cool feature that we like is if you just hit it down, it automatically centers the rudder, and we go back to control with the props. And this is the Simrad EVO3s. It's a simple display that also gives us both engines, temps, pressures, fuel, etc., and control of the autopilot. And so we're up here on the Tuna Tower. You can still be checking on your engines. All right, guys, still on the same roof of the Flybridge cockpit right now. And so this is our Halo radar, 48 miles, high def. So with this, we can see waves, we can see birds, obviously the big stuff, land, other boats, etc. So gives us pretty clear high def picture via radar while we're downstairs driving.